All right. Okay, this is what I'm going to cover for science. Okay, so parents just join us. Welcome, welcome. All right, we have the group chat. I'm going to cover for science for the next 1 hour or so. All right, and if you have any questions, please feel free to drop in the group chat. All right, and don't worry, the group chat is private. Only I can see the questions. All right, and I will also attempt to answer all the questions that parents have asked when you register. These are some of the questions that all the questions that I extracted. Okay, so I will try to answer in between during my presentation itself, and then if anything at the back at the end, okay, I will address each of the questions directly. Okay, and anything I miss, please feel free to ask me in the group chat as well. And still, if I'm not able to answer all the questions, just drop me an email or message me or drop by at the center. Okay, you can make an appointment and I will be very, very happy to address your questions or address your concerns and so on. Okay. All right. Okay, so these are some of the questions that I will address in my presentation, and as well as at the end. What are the strategies to help my child in doing revision daily? What essential books do you recommend for science? How do you answer paper 2 type of questions, inferential questions? How do you manage differentiated teaching in your class for students of varying proficiencies? How often should my child be practicing her work, and any strategies to lessen the stress? All right, how to get my child to understand science concepts and apply it accordingly. Keywords for science. Okay, I get this question very, very common. For science, how do I get my child to answer his answers using specific terms? Okay, my concern for my child will how to excel in science open-ended question. After attending tuition, both my children are stuck in science open-ended question, and this worries much. Okay, so I will address this. All right. So overview of the workshop today, today's session. All right, those parents who just joined us, welcome, welcome. All right, good afternoon. Thank you for joining. Okay, the primary school science curriculum. Okay, I will give an overview of the primary science curriculum. All right, what you should be concerned of, what are the key important things that you need to know to help your child in the primary science curriculum. Right, when we say about answering technique or the open-ended questions, okay, it's just only part of the problem. All right, and secrets to answer in primary science, I will share with you parents the CPA model. Right, how busy parents can help their children in PSLE science open-ended questions at home. Okay, and I will address parents' questions at the end or in between as well. Okay. And a little bit about me, this is me with my current this year's PSLE students, meaning that now they are relaxing at home, waiting for the results. All right, so I'm teaching, I'm the founder and of EduFront at EduFront Learning Center, me and my wife, Cikgu Hayati, I think some of you know her, right, personally, perhaps. All right, she focuses on Malay, mother tongue, and we also offer all other subjects, right? English, Chinese. Recently, we just started offering Chinese language this year, and preschool programs, secondary school programs. Secondary school, we only offer math and Malay. All right. I was a former MOE school teacher and HOD, right, at Mary Stella High Primary School. I also used to teach at Yumin Primary School and Tampines Parkview Primary School, right, in Pasir Ris and Radin Mas Primary School. And even though I'm managing the entire company, I'm still very much involved in the teaching. Okay, I'm teaching almost every day, right? Weekends, I will go around and teach my P6 because I love teaching. I love seeing my students and so on. And so even though we have a big team of about 120 tutors, I have about 30 full-time staff, admin staff, curriculum developers, our admin, our academic managers, right? Various specialists and so on. Okay, but I'm still very much involved in the teaching itself. Okay, and myself, I'm not speaking also as a MOE trained teacher, but also as an experienced PSLE parent. I have 5 children and all have gone through the PSLE. Last year, my youngest went through PSLE last year. Okay, all right. So I'm very much experienced helping students, with PSLE or primary school syllabus with different ability levels, right? In Manistella, I used to teach students in the top classes. They used to get 2.7 something, the old scoring system, 4 A stars and so on. All right. And then mid ability student as well as lower achieving students. Okay, so I've experienced teaching students of various ability levels. Okay, so I can share as much as possible, right? If you have any questions, right, other than what you have posted, please feel free to type in the group chat and I will share as much as possible. Okay, all right. Now, why as parent we should know about the syllabus? Not only about science, for all our syllabus, right? Because there's a tendency sometimes for parents to say that, okay, never mind, I am very busy with my work, right? I do not want to have anything involved in my children's education. I will just outsource, right, to tuition centers, tutors, and school teachers. Okay, but I want to share with parents why we as parents, we should know, right? We may not know 100%, right? But we should be concerned and we should get involved in our kids' education, right? In my maths class, I share research shows that parental involvement is positively correlated or positively affects students' achievement. So research shows that students who have achieved very well, it is likely that they have very much parental involvement in their education. Okay, so if we want our children to score, right, to do well in school, right, we have to get involved in their education. Right, science curriculum today is different from our time. The way we learned science last time different, right? We just memorize and then we just plug the answer and then we can score, right? Shift towards 21st century competency. Now within the internet age, the knowledge is there, right? Do you know that your child, our children, our student will have more information or know more about science than us, right? Because for them to get any information is just at the fingertips. They just Google, everything comes up. They know all about planets, compared to previously. Previously, there's no internet, right? During, so when there's no internet, it is based on what we learn in school, right? But right now it's different. So the focus on science in the primary school science curriculum, it is about critical thinking, is about process skills, is about being able to analyze the information, okay, and be able to apply the information to day-to-day situation, right? And it's a very challenging curriculum and competitive environment, right? And we need to get involved, right, so that our child, they know who to go to, or they can go to us if they have problems in the school. Okay, wide choices of resources available, even if you do not have the time. So we need to outsource, right? We need to send our child to tuition center or to get a tutor. So how do we make that decision? Is it based on brand? Is it based on price? Is it based on convenience, right? So if we do not know the syllabus, the expected of the curriculum, then how are we going to make the decision? And other than tuition, tutors, what about books, right? What kind of books, resources that you want to support the child? If you do not know about the curriculum, do not know where to download the syllabus and so on, we don't have any knowledge, then it will be very difficult for us to support our children. Another thing is that different child is unique, right? They have different learning needs, okay? And as parents, we know our children best. What are their strengths and what are their weaknesses? Right, in maths, I share about the different types of learners, kinesthetic learners, right? Some of them are more visual learners. Okay, so in school, at home, we can customize the teaching needs according to our child learning styles. All right. And I just want to share with parents the data. Just now I share for maths. This is the passing mark, the passing percentage for science for the past 10 years. Okay, this is not data from me, but from MOE itself. So you can quote the source from MOE. So you can see here, overall percentage, national level, 90% pass science. meaning that 90% get C and above, 50 marks and above. This is basically based on the old, the old grading system. That means 50 and above is C, right? C to A star. All right. So this is a national level. If break down into various community groups, Malay community about 70%. So that means out of 10 students, 7 will pass science and 3 will not pass science. Okay, science is better than maths. Maths is only 6 out of, or less than 6 out of 10. Okay, so you can see this is a data past 10 years data. All right. Now I want to share about the science curriculum. All right. So science curriculum is not only about memorizing. So you can see here the curriculum is designed to seek students view the pursuit of science as meaningful and useful. Right. Students are able to apply science in day-to-day situation. Okay. And these are the various skills that our students need to know. On the left side here, we have the knowledge, understanding, and application. Okay, scientific concepts, facts, science, vocabulary, terminology, convention, the use of instrument like data logger, thermometer. Okay, so we teach this in schools. And the middle here, importantly, is the science process and skills, like be able to observe, be able to compare one setup with another setup. Okay, be able to use the right apparatus to conduct a scientific investigation, be able to communicate the findings in the form of graph, in the form of data, tables, be able to formulate hypotheses, be able to predict the results, right, based on the experiment, be able to analyze, generate possibilities, evaluating, right, and so on. These are process skills. By the way, these are extracted from the science syllabus itself. Okay, so you can see that learning of science is not only about memorizing or understanding the concepts. Very importantly is the mastery of skills and processes. Okay, madam, if you anyone need to leave right very soon, anytime, right? This lesson is recorded. This session, sorry, is recorded. We will send the recording to the parents who have registered by email. Okay, so not to worry. Yeah, so sorry if I delay. All right. Okay, so this is extracted from the science syllabus itself. All right. No, for parents who are not very sure about the science curriculum, let me give an overview. There are 5 big themes. So if you look at the students' textbook, it is not divided into P3 textbook, P4, P5, and P6, but rather they go by themes. Diversity, systems, interaction, cycles, and energy. All right. So P3, P4, they combine, right? So the topic on systems, for example, in P3, the systems, P4, P5, and P6, different topics. Okay, so these are the big ideas. And under each of the different themes, there are different topics. All right. So in P3, the student learns about the living and non-living things, diversity of living things, diversity of materials, and then they learn about the plant system, the human digestive system. They learn about magnets. P4, matter, life cycle, heat, and light. Now take note that P3 and P4 topics sometimes some schools may teach, they may interchange. Some topics, for example, magnets. Some schools learn in P3, teach in P3, some schools teach in P4. Okay, likewise, P5 and P6. Okay, some of the topics can be taught at P6, some at P5. But in general, most schools will teach these topics in P5. Circulatory system and respiratory system. All right, cells, electrical system, water, plant reproduction, human reproduction. And at P6, they learn about forces, environment, webs of life, adaptation, man impact on the environment, energy, photosynthesis, and so on. Okay, so all these things, all these topics are extracted from the syllabus itself. So parents, I urge you to be familiar at least with the topics. Okay, so at least you know what your child is learning in school. At least you can ask the right question lah. I say, Hello, hi, Charles. You're learning science. You're learning magnets, right? At least you can ask. Can have something in line. To talk to your child. All right. Okay. In terms of the format of the exam, now P5 and P6. P5 follows the P6 PSLE format itself. Okay. So for booklet A, sorry, it's the MCQ section. There's only one paper. There's no, unlike maths. Maths there's two paper. There's a break in between, but for science there is no break. It's just one paper itself. There's section A, which is the MCQ, 28 question, 2 marks each, total of 56 marks. And the open-ended question, it is between 2 to 5 marks. Okay, total of 44 marks. So in total is 100%. And for science, it is divided into 2 categories. Half will be life sciences topic, and the other half will be physical sciences topic. Okay, life sciences means anything to do with living things, anything related to life, plants or animals. For physical science will be non-living things. Okay, like forces will be non-living things. Forces will be physical sciences. Okay, environment, webs of life, adaptation, manpower, environment will be life sciences. Energy will be physical sciences. Photosynthesis will be life sciences, and so on. Okay, so half is about physical sciences, half of PSLE science will be physical sciences, the other half will be life sciences. Okay, that's how they will separate in the exam paper itself. Okay, and many students they do not know this, but doesn't matter as long as they can answer the question. Now, assessment objectives, knowledge with understanding. So there's very few questions which involve pure recall of facts. For example, they will not ask you what is photosynthesis. What are the 3 factors affecting rate of evaporation? No more such question, right? During our time, maybe yes, right? But now you will not see, even in the simple 1 mark question, you may not see maybe 1 question direct. But even if the direct straightforward question will be knowledge with understanding. And most of the weightage will be on application of knowledge and process skills. How students are able to apply scientific facts, concepts, and principles to new situation, and the use of or a combination of process skills. Remember the process skills that I share with parents? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to share with parents what I mean by with actual PSLE question. Now this is the not this year, last year PSLE question. Okay, so this is one example of application question. Fok Choi wore a mask, face mask in an air-conditioned room. Now this is just last year, the latest, not this year's PSLE, last year's PSLE, right? So his spectacles became fogged when he breathed. Explain why his spectacles becomes fogged. Now this is a 2 mark question. This is what we call application question. Okay, maybe let me ask parent. So what topic do you think is this question about? Okay, let me show you all the topics. Okay, these are the topics from P3 to P5. By the way, PSLE, they will teach. P3 topics are tested all the way to P6. So whatever topics are taught, like magnets, is tested again at, will be tested at P6. Okay, Madam Sharifah say water, Madam Rosanita, heat topic, water system. Very good. Okay, so this is actually on the topic on water. Okay, more specifically is about condensation. Okay, more specifically is on the topic on condensation. Okay, all right. So, so student number 1, they must be able to relate. They must know what topic they are testing. Okay, what topic they want to ask. There's no question says what is the meaning of condensation, but they will ask. They will give day-to-day situation like this. Like this is very recent, right? Mask during COVID time. This was last year's PSLE question. Then they ask students to apply. Right, student must know, number 1, what topic is being tested. Secondly, on the topic of water, yes, but topic of water, very big, 4 important concepts on condensation, evaporation, 5, sorry, melting, boiling. So what concept? So here, the concept of condensation. Okay, if the students say evaporation or about boiling, then they choose the wrong concept. So after they identify the correct concept, correct topic, correct concept, they must be able to elaborate on the correct concept. elaborate. So since this is about condensation, they must be able to explain or elaborate the topic on the on the meaning of condensation and how condensation is being applied to this particular question. Okay, so you can see here the expected answer. The warmer water vapor breathed out by Fok Choi, right? So they must know that they breathe out air, right? So when we breathe out, the warmer water vapor in the form, water vapor is air in the form of gas. So it comes in contact with the cooler surface of the spectacle lens. So you can see the spectacle lens, right? The spectacle lens is cold. Why? Because he's in the air conditioned room, right? So body temperature about 37 degrees Celsius, right? We breathe out the air that this Fok Choi breathe out is warm, comes in contact with the cooler spectacle lens, loses heat. So these are the keywords. It loses heat, right? The water vapor loses heat and condense into what? Tiny water droplets. So tiny water droplets is a liquid state. So remember, condensation is the change of state from gas to liquid when gas loses heat. So you can see they do not ask straightforward question. What is condensation? But they ask a day-to-day situation, and students expected to be able to recall the right topic, the right concept, be able to elaborate and answer with precision. Then they get the full 2 marks. Okay. Now this is another question taken from last year's PSLE as well, same paper. All right. So this is an experiment type question. Just now was application question. Okay, this is an experiment type question. All right. Terence drilled a small hole at the bottom of a pail and hung it above a plate. He filled the pail with water and let the water drip from the hole into the plate as shown. A sound sensor recorded the sound made by the water droplets. Okay. So maybe parent, can you share with us, share with me, what do you think? What topic is this under? What topic? You type in the group chat. This is last year PSLE question. What topic and what concept? Maybe you can type. Okay, parents say energy. Very good. Okay, good try. Don't worry if you do not get the correct answer. Okay, so if you see this question, it is not directly, this is what we call a typical experiment type question where involve students to use process skills. Okay, what is the process skills involved? Number one, they need to understand the setup, right? They need to analyze the setup, right? What is the difference, right? What is the difference? What are they trying to test? Okay, the topic itself is not that critical itself. Okay, and students need to be able to understand graph, right? So this is a line graph. This is not a typical graph that they learn in maths, It's a very strange graph looking graph, right? Okay, so they need to understand the basic concept of learning about understanding graph. What is the vertical axis? What is the horizontal axis, right? So A, state the number of water droplets that fell on the plate in the first 30 seconds. Okay, so they must know that this is a sound sensor on the topic of energy actually, right? Energy conversion. Okay, so they need to know that this is on the topic of gravitational potential energy. So the higher it is, the more gravitational potential energy. But you see, it's not so straightforward. They need to apply and answer the question. All right, state the number of water drops. So you need to understand that this part here, it means that the water hit the plate and the energy is converted to sound energy, and this is detected by the sound sensor. So that's why between the first, from 0 to 30 seconds, 3. Okay, suggest why the sound level is not 0 between 10 to 15 seconds. This one is a kind of a general question, This, I don't think it's in any textbook, right? Nobody can spot this question, right? But you can see that it's not 0, right? So they must know that the sound sensor detects sounds from the background, right? Around us, there's sound. Sound energy is around us. Okay, so even though you may not hear, but they are, it is able to be detected by the sound sensor. So this is a past last year's PSLE question. Okay, then C, using the same apparatus, suggest two changes to increase the maximum sound level recorded by the sound sensor. So again, they need to be able to apply. The concept they need to know is about gravitational potential energy. By raising the height of the pail, they are increasing the gravitational potential energy of the water, and then it will be converted into more kinetic energy. Right? So this is the concept of energy conversion. So again, it is something that students have to apply the process skills and answer with precision. Okay, so some parents ask me, Mr. Yang, can you give me all the keywords? Okay, there's no how to give keywords like this kind of question. What kind of keywords to answer, right? There is no like magic, like one booklet of keywords, and then my child can memorize all these keywords and then can answer. Okay, it doesn't work that way. All right. Okay, so this is just to illustrate. I'll go back to where I stopped just now. All right. Okay, so okay, I stop here. Yeah. Okay, so process skills. So this is what I meant, right? By process skills in the syllabus, it's not so straightforward. You don't have pure straightforward question. Now, this is a model that I devised. You can't find this anywhere in the book, but there's nothing special also. All right. So this is what a student needs to master so that they can score in science. Okay. Now, we always focus on answering technique. Okay. Always focus on the answering technique. Mr. Yang, or what answering technique? Can you help my child with answering technique? Okay, but answering technique itself, it is based on the students' mastery of the concepts, process skills. Once they can master the concepts, understand the concept, remember the concept, be able to apply the process skill, then automatically the answering technique will be good. Right? Remember the question just now about the water droplets, right? So they must know what concept is being tested, right? And then apply the right process skill. How to read graph, how to interpret the graph. What does the peak of the graph stands for? Then after that, then of course, if the student do not know, how are they going to write the correct answer? Likewise, the application question on the mass, right? If they cannot remember or they cannot relate, hey, what is being breathed out? Why is it? How come can become foggy? Right? What is this fog? Is it about evaporation? Right? This fog, is it tiny water droplets or is it gas? So they are not able to differentiate between what is a gas, what is a liquid. Okay, then child is not able to answer the question, apply the question. It's not easy, yeah? All right. Okay, so I will elaborate to parents what are these specific success factor. Okay, the first one is concepts mastery. Concepts mastery is the most basic, the most simple concepts. I mean, the most simple thing to know, or the most important thing to know, meaning that for every particular chapter, right, there are certain concepts they need to know. Student needs to know. Let me go back to the syllabus itself. Concepts. So they need to master the concepts. Majority of the student, if your child is getting 80 and above, they got no problem with mastering of the concepts. Okay, this is what I mean. If they are getting 80 marks and above for science, they got no problem mastering of concept. If your child is getting 60 and below, that means your child still cannot remember some of the concepts. Example, let's say the topic on magnets. Okay, what do they need to know about magnets? Okay, a child, what are the important concepts? They need to know what is a North Pole, South Pole, right? Whether the magnets can attract or repel, like poles, unlike poles, right? They need to know how to make magnets, how to magnetize and demagnetize magnets. Okay, they need to know about that freely suspended magnet point in north-south direction. So these are the things that teacher in school will teach using experiments. Then they need to remember the concepts. Right? Another example, let's say the topic on heat. So students need to know that heat is a form of energy. Concept of heat transfer from region of higher temperature to low temperature. This is concept they need to know. Okay. Topic on light. Students need to know that light is a form of energy. Light travel in a straight line. They need to know that when light is blocked, a shadow is formed. Right? Light can be reflected. Topic of matter, they need to know the property of what is matter. Anything that has mass and occupies space, they need to know the three states of matter, solid, liquid, and gas. They need to know the properties of solid, liquid, and gas. Solid have definite shape, definite volume. Liquid have a definite volume but no definite shape. Liquid, gas, no definite shape, no definite volume. These are all the concepts they need to know. Generally, it's in the textbook, and they need to understand, remember, understand, and be able to recall. Right? All these topics until P6 topic on photosynthesis, for example. So photosynthesis, they need to know what is the meaning of photosynthesis, what is required, what is needed for photosynthesis, right? What gas is required, light is needed, water is needed, what is produced during photosynthesis. These are all basic concepts. Okay, I call this concepts mastery. So they need to master the concept. So how to master this concept? All right, they can use, you can get your child to relate science to day-to-day situation. So this helps them remember better rather than just reading the textbook and memorize. So they cannot remember by memorizing, just by reading the book easily. Okay, some can, many cannot, right? So children, even for us, we learn through our experiences, day-to-day experiences, we can learn better. All right. So for example, at the coffee shop, you can ask them, okay, about change of state of matter. For example, we buy Coke, how come the water droplets is on the outside of the cup? If you buy hot coffee, how come the water droplets is on the underside of the lid? Okay, so these are the questions that they can ask, you know, in the exam, right? When we go to the park or the beach, plant reproduction, what is pollination, right? Why is the structure of flower this way, right? If it's pollinated by wind, why do they have very small petals, right? But those pollinated by insect, why they have big petals, and why do they have colorful petals and nice smell? All right. Ironing clothes, right? At home, ironing clothes, concept of heat transfer, right? Conductors, why is the handle made of plastic materials, and why is the base of the iron made of metal? So you can talk about heat transfer, okay, and so on. All right. Okay, then the best way to make them remember the concept is to make them do a mind map, mind mapping strategy. Okay, so this is an example on mind mapping strategy on the topic of water. Okay, so every child should do this, and sometimes in school or in the tuition class, right? Not that we do not want them to do, but it's going to be time consuming, you know. So, but at home, the child got time, right? This one the student can do. It can take a few days, you know, to do. All right. So you can encourage your child to do, especially if your child forgets very easily, right? If your child is getting, 60 marks or 70 marks and below, it's high chance that they may have forgotten some of the important concept, right? So topic on water here, right? Condensation, what is condensation? What is evaporation? What is melting, freezing, change of state, you know, the different change of state and so on, right? This is another example done by my student, right, during a workshop. So workshop, we got a bit more time. We asked them to do, this mind map use on the topic on cells, different topics. Okay, so you can see different creatives. Okay, then some parents will say, Mr. Yang, why don't we make a model mind map and then photocopy and then give to everybody? So it doesn't work that way, because in fact, even in popular bookstores, sometimes they sell mind maps, but it is not the final product, right? Which will benefit the child, but it's the process of doing the mind map. While doing the mind map, your child will be connecting all the various concepts together and put them together in their own way of thinking, right? I cannot take the mind map of child A and then give to child B, because the way child A writes the mind map is different from the child B process the information. Okay, so no such thing as shortcut and so on. Okay, so a girl or a student who is more colorful, they can use colors, right? But boys, sometimes they don't learn that way. They don't use colors. They use symbols instead. So different way of doing. So this one way to master the concepts. Okay, next is the process skill. So after you master the concept, next thing is the process skills. So what is the process skill? Remember, in the syllabus, this is extracted from the syllabus. The student must be able to learn, be able to observe, right? Using the observe. So they must have experiences doing experiment, compare, be able to compare, classify using apparatus. So that's where the hands hands-on experiment is very useful. They do in school, right? School teachers, we do a lot of experiment, the use of data logger experiment. But unfortunately, in PSLE, there is no component, practical component. Everything is just written paper, right? So worse during COVID, the past 2 years, sometimes the teachers do not take them to the science lab. So there's very little hands-on experiment, right? But nevertheless, this is something that parents, you may want your child to practice at home. A very, very simple experiment. Get them to observe about condensation, ask them to observe, okay? You buy Coca-Cola. Why is it when it is cold, the water droplets is on the outside, right? A can of Coca-Cola. When you take the can of Coca-Cola from the fridge, why is it cold on the outside? And then ice cream tub. Why is it when you take out the ice cream tub from the freezer, there's white smoke coming out, right? So, so these are some of the process skills that you may want to, teach them at home. Formulating hypotheses, predicting, analyzing, and so on. All right. Okay, so once they are able to master the concepts, remember the concepts, be able to recall, be familiar with the various process skills, and process skills need practice, needs exposure, then automatically the answering technique will be there. They're able to answer using the right concepts, using the right application, process skills to the applying to the question. Okay, and okay, there are different types of science question. Okay, I'll share with parents what we do. We use templates to teach in our classes. Okay, we use templates. So for example, to answer experiment or investigation type of question, there's a few things that parents, students need to know. They need to know what's the aim of the experiment. Okay, what's the meaning of hypothesis? What is data? What is change variable, fixed variable? So all these things is not in the textbook, right? But it is in the syllabus, is required. Okay, but school teacher, they will teach, right? During the, some science experiment and so on. Fixed variable, independent variable, control, result of the experiment, a fair test. You see this, reliable test and so on. So for example, this is a past PSLE question again on the topic of light reflection. Okay, so this is a typical experiment type question. Okay, Zainal wanted to investigate which material was best at reflecting light. Okay, so he set up the experiment. He repeated the experiment. So this is the data presented in the form of a table. So material P, Q, R, and S. So P, Q, and R, and S, this is what we call the change variable or the variable change, or sometimes we call the test variable. X is what we call the result of the experiment, okay, or the measured variable. And what is the fixed variable, right? So student must be able to identify. So we teach student using templates, right? Some school teachers, they will use this also. So this template is, I'm teaching them how to think, right? So when they approach the experiment type question, they must think, hey, what is the aim of the experiment? Because the aim will not be clearly stated, they will not say, what is the aim directly? So you can see from the first sentence, Zainal wanted to investigate which material was best at reflecting light. All right, so they need to extract the aim. Now, sometimes the aim is not given in the question directly, so they must be able to infer by looking at the change variable. Okay, so they must be able to identify what is the change variable, fixed variable, the dependent variable, to analyze the results. So they must make sense of the result. So which material is greatest information, greatest value of X? Okay, so once they're able to analyze the result, then they need to identify the science concept. What are they trying to test, right? So end of the day, they are trying to test on the topic of light. Okay, and amount of reflection and so on. Then after that, once they understand the science concept, then student will be able to answer the question. All right, so the use of templates, right? So it's all right. So this is to help them with the thinking skills. Right. By the way, parents, if you have any question, just type in the group chat. Okay, Madam Ellie, no problem. All right. Any parents who needs to leave by 4 o'clock, so sorry, I will delay. I will probably take about 10-20 more minutes. Okay, so if you have the time, please stay on. If you cannot, don't worry, the recording will be sent to all parents who have registered. Okay. Okay, so ruler strategy. This is a strategy which you can use, student can use in answering the question. Step number 1, read and understand the question, right? Underline or highlight the keywords. Many students, they tell me, Mr. Yang, I don't read the question. Okay, surprising, you know, especially in the MCQ, right? MCQ is very long, so they don't read the question. They just look at the diagram and the some numbers and the question, and then they answer the question. So sometimes the questions, in the paragraph itself, there are important keywords that the student have to understand. And link the question to the relevant topics or concept. Okay, if the child are not able to identify the correct concept or the correct topics, then how are they going to answer? Okay, then step number 4, ensure the appropriate answering technique is applied to the question. And then number 5, then read the question again to confirm that the answer written has addressed what the question wants. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So what busy parents can help child at home? Okay, learn the syllabus. All right, identify the key concept, help them be able to remember the key concepts. Science is everywhere. Science, it should be something interesting for the child. If the child say that I get very disturbed when the child say I hate science, you know, because science is very interesting, right? We ourselves, we look at ourselves, it's all about science. How we respire, how we breathe, you know, how our digestive system works, how our various body system works, right? So try and make the child love science by relating science to day-to-day situation. All right. Sometimes we are too engrossed in, you know, the results and so on, then it becomes you know, the child hate the subject. That's what we do not want. Incidental teaching, using things around us, right? You go anywhere, you go holidays, you can talk about science. In the restaurant, you can talk about science, right? Anywhere, right? Choosing the right resources for the child, focus on process skills and schools resources. Some parents ask me, Mr. Yang, what assessment book to use? So my answer is that for science, I do not recommend any assessment books, right? Other than the school's resources, that means your school file, your child's school file, as well as the actual PSLE paper, past papers, plus the top school papers, right? Because a lot of science questions are not easy to create. So there's not many or very few good books in the market which the child can do. Unlike maths, there's quite a few, right? But for science, I will get parents to depend on the school materials, right? As well as the top school papers and actual PSLE questions itself. Okay, so what you can do is that you can get your child to rewrite the open-ended question which they get wrong. So for example, let's say your child get back, I think next week they will get back their P5, the exam SA2 results, right? Okay, a lot of the time, they will not score well in the open-ended question. Okay, and the teachers will go through the answers in school, right? They will write down in green and so on. So what you can do, you can test the child whether they can actually really understand the question. You can ask them, you can cover the answer, ask them to redo the question and see whether the answer now is you know, is identical to the actual or the correct answer. If the child still cannot get the correct answer, so that means the child have not learned or have not remembered the answering technique or still do not understand the question. The child merely copy what the teacher writes on the board. Okay, so this is something that you can do at home to help your child rather than buying more and more test papers and doing more and more. So science, the best is to use whatever materials that is already there and for the child to redo those questions that get wrong. Okay, most of the time, many students are not able to pass the open-ended question, right? By the way, if the child score in MCQ, score well, they can do quite well overall, even though they don't do well for the open-ended, because the MCQ itself is 56%, right? So some students score very, very well, but in the open-ended question, they don't score that well, right? So it's very common, right? If they can score well in open-ended question, that's why they get the AL1, AL2. All right, so that's why they lose a lot of marks in the open-ended question. That's why you can focus on getting them to rewrite. And another resource is to drill them with the top school papers. So at home, parent, you can drill them with the top school. Now, when I talk about top school papers, you can get free, can download for free or you can buy. Sometimes I usually buy those already printed, nicely printed, stapled together. You can get that delivered very cheap. Top school papers, you can do from P5 papers, P5, then you have got the media paper, the final paper, and then P6, you got the SA1, prelims paper, and then you have sometimes you got SA, CA1 paper, right? And not only from last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So my top students, the way they get the AL1 or A star, there is the sure way is to drill with the top school papers for any subjects, right? Because that is the closest. Of course, PSLE paper is the best, but PSLE papers are limited. But for more practice, you need to depend on the top school papers, right? Because top school papers are written by HOD and MOE teachers, which are very close, which are aligned with the PSLE curriculum. If you buy books from the assessment books from the bookstore, a lot of the time I see that number one, the questions are not accurate, they're not aligned. Secondly, the answers are wrong. Having said that, also bear in mind that the top school papers, the answers key are not from the schools. The questions are from the school, but the answer key, you notice that a lot of the answer keys are wrong. All right. So, but MCQ, I would say that it's quite safe. You can drill the MCQs, but open-ended question, maybe you need to leave it to the tutors or to the school teachers. Okay. Okay, Madam Rosanita said that where you can link contact to get printed for the top school. You just Google. Myself also, it's very easy. Okay, myself, if I want to get, I'll also Google. Right? You can get the top school papers. They can deliver. You just Google top school paper or free top school papers. There will be vendors, several vendors that sells it. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm done. Okay, I will go through the Q&A again. These are by the parents when you registered for this workshop. Okay, any parents, any other questions that you have, you can type in this group chat. I will address these questions first, which I get from the parents. Okay, what are the strategies to help my child in doing daily revision? Okay, thank you for this question. It means that you are very much interested in helping your child on a daily basis. Yes, I strongly encourage that. Revision, it has to be done on a daily basis. Not some parents, they take 1 month leave, 1 month before the PSLE, and then help the child. I think it's a bit stressful, may not be necessary. Rather than 1 month leave before PSLE, it's better to do on a daily basis, right? Daily basis. Now, daily, when I say daily, 7 days in a week, right? So if you cannot do 7 days in a week, if you can help your child 5 times in a week, is better than 0. If you can help your child, you say, Miss Nia, I'm very busy, I'm working shift, day and night. Okay, you can help your child in the weekends only. That is actually fine, better than 0. And you can take a tag team, husband and wife. Sometimes husband outsource 100% to the wife. So something is good also. You can get the help of your spouse, right, to help to monitor. Okay. All right. Some parents say that, I cannot help my child. My maths I don't understand. Or science, I cannot help at all. Okay. For science, I can understand, right? Because open-ended question is not easy. Okay. You can leave it to the school to teach the open-ended question, or the tutors, right? The tutors, we are trained, right? Professional, we are trained in open-ended question. But you can help them with the MCQ questions, right? Help them. Remember, your child, if you leave it themselves, a lot of them, they will not study, They will just look at their phones, YouTube. They tell me myself, right? So you need to monitor them, have the time with them, monitor them, make sure they are on task, doing their thing, keep their phones put aside, make sure they focus 100%, right? Let them do MCQ question. Okay, let's say, okay, child, today we are going to practice MCQ. I'm going to give you 40 minutes. Okay, this school, just MCQ only, Then after that, once they are done, 40 minutes collect and then mark. Then mark after that, you get the child to do corrections. Okay, so there's one example. The open-ended question, yes, is very difficult, but at least you can do that. Another thing you can do is that you can get your child to, you can get them to cover the question that they get wrong, and then see whether they can get the correct answers right now. Okay, and you can set targets for them, target set, and make sure your targets are realistic. Okay, if your child is getting AL6, AL7, okay, don't stress them, say that I want you to go to Raffles, because right, the neighbors' children also in Raffles, I want to go into Raffles also. I know, please, you must set what we call smart target. Smart target means must be realistic. Okay, how to know? You must find out what is how to get into Raffles, right? What is the good school which is comparable standards with your child? Different child is different. Okay, Mr. Ibrahim says that your 2 hours per day, does that include the time that they do their homework? Exclude. Homework, they can do their homework themselves. 2 hours is purely revision. Okay, so 2 hours, let's say 1 hour for maths, 1 hour for science. Let's say on Monday, for example, come back from school. Let's say the child come back from school 3 p.m. Right? So they can clear all the homework. You tell them, okay, I want you to finish all your homework before Maghrib, before 7 o'clock. Okay, finish before the workshop, finish before Maghrib, and then at night after at 7:30 we will revise maths, and then after that science. Okay, so you can do something like that. Homework is separate. All right, this we are talking about revision. And weekends you can spend more time. All right, so we need to do this on a level, especially this coming school holiday, you know, November, December holiday. This is the time to catch up. I know many parents wants to go for holiday, right? But you know, our leave is not a lot, right? Our holiday maybe 1 week and most 2 weeks. But the school holiday November, December is 1.5 months. So you can go for holiday, no problem. The child can enjoy, but especially if your child is sitting for PSLE next year, make use of the November, December holiday to really catch up, especially if the P5 results are not very strong. All right, there's a lot of things they can do, right, to do, you know, to reteach the P5 concept, because in P6, things are going very fast. Remember, I shared with you that in August, latest, sometimes in July or even June, the teacher will finish all the syllabus, will aim to finish all the syllabus, and the pace is going to be very fast. And on top of that, teachers have to revise. Okay, P3 for science, P3, P4, P5 topics, not only P6 topics. No, P6, there are many new topics for P6 science. We have photosynthesis, you got energy conversion, adaptations, man impact on environment, webs of life, maybe about 7-8 topics, new topics at P6. And on top of that, teachers have to revise P3, P4, P5 topics. Where got time? Right? Very difficult. So really we need parents to teach the child at home. Okay. Okay, what assessment book to recommend? Okay, I already mentioned about assessment books. For science, how to answer paper 2 type of question, especially inferential question. Remember my CPA model. You must make sure the child have strong mastery in the concepts. Remember, be able to recall the concepts. Can use mind mapping strategy. And then process skills. Process skill is through exposure, right, to the different types of process skills question through the use of templates. And then answering technique will be automatically, because answering technique, you must have the right key concept, the right keywords from the concepts. Right, the student forget the concepts, right? How to do the answer, correct answering technique. How often should my child be practicing work strategies to lessen the stress? Daily practice. That's why last minute is problematic, you know. Some parents send for tuition, you know, very late, 1 to 2 months before PSLE. So you have to start. If your child is sitting for PSLE next year, please start in November, December, right? During school holidays, you can go for holidays, no problem. But even holidays, you can ask them to bring their books to revise. Okay, start by revising, reviewing P5 topics, P5 concept. If you not finish P5 top school papers, let them do. And then, if possible, teach ahead P6 topics. Like for science, there's a lot of P6 topics that your child can learn in advance, like photosynthesis, energy conversion rate in advance during the November, December holidays, so that when they start, right, next year, right, they are, you know, slightly not that stressed. Okay, so at home, you can help your child to review the concepts, to reinforce, right, to redo and stretch them. Stretch them for if your child is a higher ability child, right? If they got no problem with schoolwork, we stretch them, we give them the challenging questions, right? The 4 and 5 mark question. If my students, I have students who are scoring 90 marks and above, still come for tuition, you know. So they finish very fast. So what I'll do is that I'll take the 4 and 5 mark kind of questions I give them. Sure problem. Sure they cannot do. All right, it's not easy. They may be able to do some question, but not all, right? So If you have a child who is getting 90 and above, so you should stretch them with the more challenging questions. Right? How to get my child to understand science concepts and apply it accordingly? Use the CPA model that I shared with you just now. Right? Remember, answering technique here, there's no magic bullet. Right? Mastery of the concepts, they need to remember, recall, and then they need to master the process skills. Now, process skills is for primary school, sometimes it has to do with the maturity level as well. Now, in the past, we used to do process skill in secondary school. But right now, in the primary school science syllabus, a lot of emphasis on process skills. They have removed a lot of topics. The topics has been getting lighter, like previously when I started teaching when I started teaching in school MOE, science, they teach even solar system, simple machines, but now they have removed. The topics have become lesser, but the questions have become more process skills oriented. Okay, so it is getting more tougher for the kids in terms of process skills. So those who are good in maths, sometimes they have tendency to be good in science as well. Okay, good in critical thinking and process skills and so on. All right. Okay. How often practicing? Yeah, daily. For science, how do I get my child to experience the answer using scientific terms? Again, use the CPA model and templates. All right. Okay, my concern for my child is how to excel in science open-ended question. Okay, I've already answered. Okay, after attending tuition class, both my child are sometimes they are still stuck in a science open-ended question and worry me because I expect them to do better after attending tuition. So again, it depends on the ability level of the child, right? How often is the tuition, right? Tuition once a week, right? Remember that you need to support your child on a daily basis, especially if the child has a lot of concept they need to catch up. P3, P4, P5 concept, they've forgotten, right? So we need once a week. There's a very limited time that we at the tuition center, we can teach them within 1.5 hours, right? So that's why for our tuition center, we record the lesson and it's available for the parents, for the students to review in the LMS. So that's what we can do, right? We record, we try to extend beyond beyond the face-to-face interaction with the tutors, right? So other than that, we really need the help or the support of the parents to coach your child, okay, on a daily basis, especially if your child is struggling. If your child is high ability, maybe just once week or tuition is maybe enough. All right. Okay. Right. Okay. That's all I have. All right. I will see the questions from parents right now. Okay, Mr. Ibrahim asks, for weaker student, how do we start to help, especially the school holiday? Okay, okay, Mr. Ibrahim, maybe can you write down, on average, what is the marks that you're talking about? If the child is getting roughly how many marks? Is it 50 something, 60 something, So sometimes we need to customize according to the needs of the child. Okay, so if the child is, example, if like child MCQ, the child is getting 30 something marks, 30 over marks out of 56. And then you say, Mr. Young, how to help my child in open-ended? My first recommendation to parents is that please help your child with the MCQ question first, right? Because if the child is getting 30 something out of 50 something, is not very good, right? Because MCQ is supposed to be easy to score. Something is wrong. MCQ, if they are not scoring, it means that basic concepts, they have forgotten basic concepts. Even process skills in the MCQ comes out. MCQ, there's a lot of process skills involved. So focus on the MCQ first, all right? And then after that, then you can look at the open-ended question, see the open-ended question. Okay, so during the school holiday, all right, yeah, so during the school holiday, you can get your child to redo the open-ended question, the question that they get wrong. Take the P5 files, look through the P5 files. Okay, this one wrong, right? Okay, Adik, you get Abang, you get this one wrong, right? Okay, you cover, and then can you redo this question? Okay, you can start buying the top school paper also. If you want more paper MCQ practice, you can buy the P5. No need to buy the P6 paper yet. Buy the P5. If your child is P5 this year, buy the P5 papers, and I'm sure some of the papers are not completed. Even if you have purchased, get them to complete everything during this November-December holiday, so that when they go to P6, Because in P6, teacher will straight away start to teach P6 topic, you know. So if your child is lagging behind P3, 4, 5 topics, they're going to get lost. Okay, so help your child this November, December holiday to catch up with the P5 topics, the earlier concepts. Okay, my daughter kind of slow to understand or absorb her lesson, and when doing especially maths or anything with formula, she goes totally blank. Yes, normal. Okay, because of the her foundation is not strong, right? If the child is struggling at P1, okay, example, let's say between P1 to P4, right? At P4, the child is getting 60%. There is a tendency to drop from 60 marks to 40 marks, drop, right? Because why? P5 topics is challenging, and they need to master what they have learned in the earlier levels, P3, P4. So if the child is not strong in P3, P4 topics, so it will bring up to P5, right? Okay, Madam Miss Nur Faiza, does your center is online classes instead of physical? Yes, we do have online classes, right? Okay, just want to share. Yes, we have online classes. We have both physical classes so you can see 5 physical centers at Choa Chu Kang, Tampines, Woodlands, Pasir Ris, and Serangoon North. And we also have live classes, live online classes. Okay, I'm teaching also an online class. We have other tutors as well. All right. So if you prefer now for online class, it is recommended if your child can be a little bit more independent. Okay, because in terms of monitoring, it's best that they attend physical class. But if your child can be independent, right? So it's no problem. Online can be as effective, right? Because I have a lot of so we have a lot of students on online classes, very effective, right? Because we record every lessons and we upload, so students can review the lessons, and the materials are sent to their homes on a monthly basis. So you don't even have to come to the center, right? We will pack and we send the hard copy. You don't even have to print. Hard copy of the materials on a monthly basis, so the student can do at home and then can follow and then can submit everything. Submission is all online. Okay, do you do mock exam prior to the PSLE? Now, the problem with mock exam is that it's very time consuming, right? When you talk about science, 1.5 hours of science. Okay, so mock exam means what? That means, are you saying that during my tuition class, I give, okay, student, today we are going to do a mock exam, 1.5 hours of paper. They do only 1 hour, then after that, then what we do as a tutor? We just shake leg now. Okay, so we cannot do that, right? We cannot give them a mock test. What we do instead is to teach. We give them small question and then teach. That's where the mock test is useful. It can be done at home. That's where, parents can collaborate at home. You do the mock test at home and then mark, right? Get them to do it at home. In tuition, because the tuition time is very precious. We want to spend the time teaching them the answering technique, right? In our science class, we focus all on open-ended question most of the time. Open-ended question, because this is the question that many students have problem with, right? Open-ended question, we use templates, right? Templates like this, right? Remember I show you the templates, right? To teach their process skills, right? This kind of templates, right? Okay, we teach them, the process skills so that they're able to, to be able to score better, right? Mock exam during the school holiday, we do specific workshop programs, like answering technique workshop. This is over 16 hours, right? So we do, like for maths, we do problem solving strategies workshop. So for those who wants to catch up, so for workshop, we have it during the holidays. Okay, so you can see our PSLE timeline. So every holidays will have workshop. In addition to the weekly classes, we support the students, PSLE students, during the school holidays. So you can see during March. So this is in addition to our weekly classes. So we have intensive workshop focusing on, for science will be usually answering technique or concepts. For maths will be usually problem solving technique. All right. So during the March holiday, June holidays, September holidays. Right. So this is in addition to our weekly classes. All right, so this is what we can do to support our students, our PSLE students. Okay, madam asks, if I opt for physical class, so my child, yes. Okay, my parent asks, if I opt for physical class, would my child have access to the online recordings and online? Yes, you do. So student who register for the physical class, you will have access, the child will have access to the LMS, plus the recording of the lesson, plus the quizzes and everything. Okay, but the quiz, so for example, I'm teaching the P5, P6 Maths and Science online. So I record that lesson, right? And that is made available in the LMS to all the students, whether you're taking physical class or online class, right? So those physical class students at Pasir Ris, for example, we will not record the class that is at Pasir Ris, right? But because we are teaching the same curriculum, same materials, they will get access to the video recording of Zoom, because Zoom easy to record, right? In the LMS. Okay, so they have access to the recording itself. So not to worry. We have done this thanks to COVID. Since 2 years ago, we did this with the support of the LMS and so on, right? So this is provided for all the students. So even though if you attend the physical class, you will also have access to the recorded version in the LMS. All right. Okay, Madam Alia say, should I revise with P5 work or P6 work this November, December if she's weak? Please revise P5 work. Okay, the parent asked that the child is P6 next year. She said that in November, December, should I revise P6 or P5 work? Please revise P5 work, especially your child is weak. And in fact, you may want to revise P4 work as well, right? Because for science, let's say science, P3, P4 topics will be included in the PSLE, right? So you can take the opportunity in November, December holiday to go through P3, P4 topics as well, right? In addition to P5 topics. Once you are done that, then you can, you can get them to read ahead P6 topics. Likewise for maths also. Don't be too ambitious, do P6 topics, right? Because like I say that, because in P6, for example, maths, percentage will again be taught in P6, but that level is higher level. If the child P5 percentage is weak or don't understand at all, right, they will suffer at P6. Okay, so please get your child to strengthen the child understanding of P5 topics. Very, very important. P5 is very important, right? And a lot of the times we see a drop in the result P4 to P5. So that's where they need a lot of support at P5. Okay. Okay, Madam asks, why do you say only top school materials and top school for science? Because those science are not targeted. Yes, I think I already mentioned. Based on my personal experience, looking at the assessment books in popular bookstore for science, and in particular for science, a lot of the questions are not accurate, not in line with the syllabus, because setting science paper, science items, question bank is very challenging. It needs a lot of creativity, it needs a lot of effort. Okay, so in the market, there's not many out there. So for science, please depend on the school papers, because they are set by school, which are aligned. A school set, confirm they'll be aligned with the, may not be 100% good, but at least they are aligned with the PSLE science, MOE science curriculum. All right, so based on science, go for science materials from school as well as top school paper. Okay, now any other question, parent? Any other question? Just please feel free to type. Okay, so if nothing, I'll end today's session. Okay, so just a recap. Thank you very much, parents, for joining us. I'm very happy that many parents sign up, right? There's about almost 100 sign up, but today not as many actually turn up. But no problem, right? In the past, we used to conduct parents workshop, physical workshop, but maybe Zoom is much easier. Last time, just a handful. Right? So it shows that you are very much interested in your kids' development or results. Okay, I thank you very much for your support. And if you need the support of EduFront, okay, we offer K2 to Sec 4 classes, right? So in particular, we got P6 PSLE classes. Okay, we have 5 physical classes at 5 centers and online class, right? So you can choose 100% online, right? Myself, I'm teaching some of the classes. Okay, and we have maths booster class also for if you are getting less than 60%, your child at P5, we recommend twice a week of maths class where we will teach maths, P6 maths plus a recap of P5 maths. Okay, so we have a small class ratio of 1:12. So sometimes my class, I may have more than 12 students, and I'll have 2 tutors in my class, me and my assistant tutor. We use differentiated approach in teaching, mostly NIE trained teachers. LMS support, we record the classes, and our P6 class will start in November. So if you want to register or you want to take a look at the schedule, okay, please feel free to go to our website, okay, or you can scan this to go to the registration page. All right. Okay, any other question, parents? Okay, don't have. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your support. Some of you parents are our students. I thank you very much for your support. All right, it means a lot to us, right? Okay, so parents who are not send your children to our class. So you can send for a free trial class, right? My class, there's no free trial, unfortunately, because it's usually full. Right, but other levels, we have a free trial class. Our P6 class will start in November. In fact, next week we will start. Okay, November, December. But other levels, if your children have in other levels, you will start in December. Right, we want to start preparing them early for 2023. Okay, all right. Okay, thank you very much, parents. I will see you guys again. Bye bye.